So you want to launch your clothing brand and you're wondering, how can I take this amazing idea of a piece that I have in my brain and translate it into an actual real product that people can purchase? In this video, I'll be breaking down step by step how to go from zero, from an idea in your mind, to an actual product sample that you can later on take to manufacturers and bulk produce it and market it to the world. The first step is to sketch your general design idea by hand. And yes, by hand, even if you're really bad at drawing. Making a rough sketch is really important because this is what will give an idea to the pattern maker that we will later on discuss. Let me show you my first sketch ever that I did for Dignity, my clothing brand, that really went viral and is still until now my bestseller top. So let me show you that it doesn't really have to be perfect. You just have to put what's in your mind into paper. So here you go. This is my first sketch. I don't know if you can see properly. So really, I had to just draw the outline of what I was thinking it would look like in general. I added all the features that I wanted in the top. So a zipper, I labeled it. I wanted a reflective logo. I wanted the hood. I wanted thumb holes. I wanted this signature crisscross piece over here, and then I added like some ideas of what kind of fabric I would want maybe to include, and then I did a front view, and then I did a side view and a back view. These sketches are really important, even though they're not perfect. It's because you will be taking these sketches, taking pictures of them, and then sending them to potential pattern makers, which leads to my next step, which is to hire a pattern maker. I know at the beginning you don't have the budget to hire people, but it's super important not to DIY this step because you are not a fashion designer. The pattern maker is able to take your design, your sketch design, and making it into a real sample. So please don't DIY it. It's super important. It's actually not that expensive. Well, you still have to budget about between $1,000 to $3,000 depending on the level of experience of the pattern maker. But this will be the foundation of your design. So where do you find pattern makers? You can find them in different places. The first one is on Fiverr or Upwork. These websites have a bunch of professionals that list their services, and so you can contact them, talk to them about your product idea, show them your sketch, and then if they have the skills, then they will make your patterns. Another way to do that is to hire locally, which I highly recommend because you will be able to go and see that pattern maker yourself and explain your ideas to them. A simple Google search will suffice. Write pattern maker services, and then if you find someone locally, then I'll highly recommend choosing that option. The third one is to hire a product development agency. That's what I did for my first product because I was really new to product development and I wanted someone to help me through that process. So if you're a newbie and you have some budget and you want some hand holding, I highly recommend you guys go with a product development agency. So there are multiple ones and you can just also do a simple Google search and find ones either locally or internationally. You set up meetings with them through Zoom, and then you explain your idea, and then you show them your sketch. That's really important. You show them your sketch, you list out all the features that you want to have in your design, and you write a small description to explain the concept of the product, where is it going to be worn, what type of fabrics you're thinking of having, etc. And then they'll guide you through that process. Your pattern maker will make you the first sample. They will ship it to you and you have to review it. When you review it, try to take a Word document, and write all your feedback. Every little detail that you see that you like, that you don't like, that you want to change. What would you like to change? You can even take pictures from online of certain features from clothing that you find that you would want to include in your design, and send those pictures as well, just to give them exact idea of what needs to be changed and improved. Usually there's always 2 to 3 samples, so they will do the modifications, they will send you new samples, you will review it, and then again until you end up really loving the product and having your final sample. Usually when they start, they usually use a fabric that is it's called muslin. It's very cheap fabric to create the samples, because these are just samples. It's just to get the idea, the general picture of how the garment would look like. Once you finalize the sample and the sample is perfect, then you will start choosing fabrics. And then you would have to either source fabric yourself, or if you're with the product development agency, they will help you find the fabric. That's why I recommend, if you're a newbie, to go with an agency. But if you're on your own and you have a pattern maker that you hired, you would have to find the fabric. And so you can go to different fabric stores around you to touch and feel and see what kind of fabric you would like to make your garment with. I also recommend you to go into stores that sell similar type of clothing as what you want to create, and touch the fabric, read the labels, look at what kind of fabric they're using, and then go from there. It's going to give you good ideas of what would work with the type of garment you're creating. Once you have the fabric chosen, then you can tell your pattern maker to make you the final sample with the real fabric. The next step is to ask your pattern maker to create size specs for you. Size specs are measurements and details of the garment when laying flat. This is what helps you determine the sizing chart of your clothing. So how is the fit of your clothing on your customers? So you decide how loose or tight fitting you want your garment to fit. You might be asking, how do I know how to size my garment? So this is how it works. You start with a base size. So you can choose any size you'd like. I highly recommend you choose your own size. So if you're a medium, for example, tell your pattern maker to create size medium in your sample. And so when you receive it, you can try it on yourself and see how it fits. If you like the fit, then you can go on and tell your pattern maker to apply the standard sizing specifications to the garment. So they will add a few inches here, a few inches there per size. But if you find the fit not to be to your liking, then you can tell her to add a few centimeters or to remove a few centimeters from certain areas of your garment in order to fit you well. Once she does another sample and send it to you and this sample fits you perfectly in your size, then you can tell her to add the standard sizing. Basically, there's like I think 1.5 inches per size, but it really depends on where. So they know how to do that. They're just gonna apply that throughout the sizes from extra small to however the size you want to make. Here's an example of what a size specs sheet looks like. It's a table with all the measurements of the garment with all the sizes, basically from extra small and up. Pro tip, if you want to create a brand that is really good in terms of the fitting of its garments and it's really well thought, I highly recommend you to create a focus group of women around you of different sizes and ordering all the sizes that you have through your pattern maker and telling her to create a sample of each size, and then bringing those women to you and making them try the sizes. And then you would be able to detect if there are any issues in sizing in the higher sizes or lower sizes, not just your size, because you only tried one size so far. So this is an extra step, not necessary, but if you do that, you'll be making sure that all of the sizes are really well created. The size spec sheet is really important to create as it determines the sizing of your range. So far, you've created a sample, a final sample, and you have created a size spec sheet. The next step is pattern grading. So what this means is just taking your first pattern, which was made in a base size, which let's say was size medium, and applying the size spec sheet's measurements into the pattern. So creating one pattern per size, basically. And this can be done digitally, so that it's much easier for you to send it to your manufacturer later on. All you have to do is ask your pattern maker to do the grading for you. If you're enjoying my content so far, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave me a comment if you find these tips helpful and what you would like to see next. The next step is to create a tech pack. This document is really important when you go to a manufacturer to reproduce your garment. So you ask your pattern maker to create a tech pack for you. You'd have to pay for it, and it's an official document that shows how your garment is made. So it has all the specifications of how the garment is made, what the fabric it uses, and all the measurements for each size. So you will have the spec sheet with it, and you will have a digital model of the garment so that it's easy to visualize. And it's basically just a document. I'll show you an example. This is the tech pack that we have created for our loose leggings in Dignity, and it's basically a few pages long, and it describes exactly how that garment is made. So your manufacturer can just take this, and it's super easy for them to just reproduce it with the exact measurements, and it will look exactly the same as the sample that you have. So this is really important to just ask your pattern maker to make it for you. You'd have to pay for it, but it's I mean, it's a crucial step that you cannot skip. As you can see, it has the drawing of how the garment looks like, and then how much of each trim is needed. A trim is basically like an elastic, a zipper, the type of thread. So all of this information is included in the tech pack, and so it's very easy for you to reproduce this piece of garment with any manufacturer you go to. The size spec sheet, the grading patterns, and the tech pack are the three most important documents for you to have before going to a manufacturer and ask them to reproduce and bulk produce it. And why it's important, it's because this is how they will be able to reproduce the exact same garment as your final sample. It's a good practice to keep a physical copy of your grading pattern of at least one size in your house, so that you have it with you, and it's you can keep it in your archives for each one of your products. It's also important that you also have a copy of your tech pack. This is your intellectual property that you created. Now you can take your product and replicate it and bulk produce it and ship it to the world. It's super exciting. You have finished your product development phase. This is the beginning of a new adventure and the creation of your brand. If you'd like to see my journey of how I created my activewear brand, you can watch this video and it will show you all my entrepreneurship journey. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below this video what you are trying to make and what difficulties are you encountering and what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. So I'll see you next week.